We are now on air. Time for a total takeover.
It's finally here. Welcome to a new episode.
It's about to go down.
This is a blow to poor women, and particularly to poor black women, because black women are the women who are getting abortions at a higher rate than any other group. So the Supreme Court has just dealt them, a group who is already, by very many economic metrics, suffering much more than other groups in America. They've just dealt them another very difficult blow. If you look back to times when abortion was illegal in this country, who were the people that died from unsafe, illegal abortions? It was overwhelmingly black and brown women who died, not wealthier white women. So the ramifications of this are very, very real for women, and they're very, very real for poorer women, for whom this will mean that abortion is now effectively out of reach, and they will have to deal with it alone.
Good morning. Greetings and salutations. This is yours truly, Dan Adams, a.k.a. the Soulful Conservative, the DA and the prosecutor, coming to you with another edition of the Dan Adams Show via the remote studios here in the vehicle once again. And that clip I play right at the beginning, let's get right into it. Do not know who this woman is. And as you can see, she's a white woman of European descent. So she did not grow up here in America. But with the racial virtue signaling that she happened to just feel that she had the need to do, or felt the need to do. Okay. You see how she stated that how black and brown women are going to be mostly affected if Roe v. Wade is overturned? And how she said that, in particular, that mostly black women are having abortions in America, which is actually true. But why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Why is that? And I can get into the particulars and things of that nature in regards to why, but let me state some facts for this particular European white woman that wants to virtue signal and point out the disparity of black women having abortions here in America, and thinking and feeling like she had to say that, and feeling like she is in tune with black women in America and the plight of black women in America. You know, it just boggles my mind how leftist white women just feels the need to speak on behalf of black people as a whole. And it just pisses me the hell off. And this right here is just another example. And especially a leftist white woman that did not grow up here in America, wasn't born here in America, but yet virtue signals and wants to make it about race. Well, let's talk about the race disparity of abortions in America. I'm about to go through this tunnel, so just bear with me for just a minute. But let's talk about the disparity, the racial disparity in regards to the majority of abortions black women have here in America. Why is that? Let's look at the facts. Where are most of the Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics in America? In black neighborhoods. So, the individual, this white leftist European woman who went on MSNBC, had to racially virtue signal herself and make a point that most abortions in America are done by black women. Guarantee you she is a supporter of Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics. So, Miss European white woman, why is it that the majority of Planned Parenthood clinics and abortion clinics are in black neighborhoods? And has been that way since the inception of Planned Parenthood. Why is that? European white woman? And why is it, in my opinion, that your racial virtue signaling means absolutely nothing, number one. Number two, isn't backed up by actual facts. And the fact is, you support Planned Parenthood, you support abortion clinics. The majority of abortions that happen in America are by black women. So what does that mean for the black race? And what has it meant since 1973, the year that I was born, when Roe v. Wade was made law? That's right. In 1973, this particular individual was born, and that's when they just said, okay, it is a free-for-all, and we're going to somehow constitutionally protect the killing of babies? Okay. All right, y'all went down that route. And then at that point, Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics decided we're going to set up shop in black neighborhoods. To what? Wipe out the black race? And in the meantime, let's jump ahead to 2022. Excuse me. What's going on down at our southern border? And has been for decades. Let's see. Black women having abortions and not increasing the black population, but our southern border is basically open to allow any and all illegal aliens of Hispanic descent to just waltz into this country and become a permanent fixture, here in America. Now, as a black man, I'm looking at it like, that doesn't add up. Excuse me, I need to have, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to contribute to the Dan Must Have Water fund in his car when he does these particular segments of the Dan Adams Show, in the description, you'll see where you can help and support this show. I will post the receipts, because as I go, my voice goes. But anywho, back to the topic at hand. European leftist white women racially virtue signaling on MSNBC, pointing out a fact. It is a fact that black women are the arbiters of the abortions, most of the abortions here, excuse me, here in America. And I guess my voice is telling me it's time for me to stop for today, which I didn't want to, but God is saying, hey, you're on the right track, but your voice ain't. And I have practice tonight with the band, so let me end with this. The virtue signaling from this particular European white woman who wasn't born here in America, didn't grow up here in America, and asks if she knows the plight of black women here in America, goes on MSNBC and points out something that we already knew, but just had to make it a point. For her point, ladies and gentlemen, has made me and hopefully many other black people in America, especially black women, realize that, wow, we as black women have killed more babies in the womb than anyone in America since 1973. And this leftist European white woman is concerned about Roe v. Wade being overturned because she is concerned about the black woman and black women in America? So, she racially virtue signals abortion by black women in America, supports Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics who have set up shop primarily in black neighborhoods, but then on the other hand supports the invasion in our southern border from Hispanic illegal aliens. And it's not just, I'm not going to just say it's just Hispanics that are pouring into our country. It's not, but the majority of them are. So you give a free pass for Hispanic illegal aliens to pour into our country, but you say nothing about black women killing their own babies in the womb. You think that Roe v. Wade being overturned is somehow a negative for black women in America. Well, how about we get to the crux of the matter? How about, okay, if you want to have safe sex, on both parties, by both parties, birth control by the woman and man, or how about we abstain from sex until you are ready to, because all it takes is one time, and we all know this, it takes just one time to have sex and to impregnate a woman. How about how about setting yourself up and be a point in life to where you can support a baby being brought into this world? No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about that. And I'm sorry, white women are having abortions too. So why are we just focusing? Yeah, I get it, because of the majority of abortions are done by black women. But there are other women who are having abortions in America. So why aren't we talking about them? No. Once again, identity politics. Yeah, in this case, gender identity politics. Black women in America, they have been called out, pointed out, microscopically virtue signaling. And let's not get to the crux of the matter in regards to why leftist European white women like that woman on MSNBC had to make a point, had the racial, wow, I'm trying to get to the word virtue, skipping over racially virtue signaling, and gets on a national televised program on MSNBC, which many people aren't watching, we all know this, but she had to make it a point about race, about gender, obviously, being that black only women can have abortions. But when you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where this truck in front of us just decided to just go right in front of us. But anywho, I'm going to get into this matter a little bit more. And I think I'm actually going to break down that video in another segment, but I wanted to make sure that I spoke upon it, seeing that the hysteria from the left, as if abortion is being completely and utterly banned in America. It is not. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, it's going to be left up to the states. Now, granted, if it ends up that way and you end up in a state where it is not as easy to get an abortion, then you might want to start talking to yourself, have a talk with yourself, and realize, man, if I go and hoe it up tonight, I might get pregnant. And ultimately, if for whatever reason you feel like you want to go ahead and kill that baby in your womb, which as a Christian, obviously, I'm pro-life. But God ultimately granted us free will. So if you want to go down that route, then ultimately on your judgment day, and you are standing in front of God, you are going to answer for killing that baby in the womb. But as Christians, we are supposed to fight for the innocent life in the womb. And ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't want to make it seem as if I'm supporting this. But yet, number one, abortion is not going to be outright banned completely in America. That's number one. You also have that morning after pill that is available to you. So, for all these particular leftists who are screaming and crying, thinking that they're not going to be able to kill their baby in the womb when they want to, is a complete and utter lie. Now, we can get into the particulars of some of the laws in some of these states who have banned abortion up to a certain week and under certain circumstances like rape and incest and things of that nature. We can have that debate. We can have that discussion. When you make it seem as if Roe v. Wade being overturned is completely taking away your option to kill an innocent baby in the womb. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to end today's broadcast with this. I am going to pray for that leftist European white woman who felt like she had to just go on national TV, on MSNBC, and racially virtue signal the fact that black women are the majority of individuals who have abortions here in America, and made it a fact as if she was born here in America, grew up here in America, and was a black woman in America, and understands and feels the pain of the plight of black women here in America. Once again, I am sick and tired. I am so friggin' tired of hearing these white leftist women speak on behalf of black people. Shut your damn mouth. And until next time, peace.
Texting me, look what happened here. I couldn't go back to sleep. Yeah. It's that devastating. I'd like to point out that during those hearings, all these people that are voting to overturn this lied. Didn't they lie? They all said, watch this tape. Let me show a small tape. Yeah, let's see this.
The Supreme Court of the United States has held in Roe versus Wade that a fetus is not a person for purposes of the 14th Amendment. And the book explains that.
Do you accept that?
That's the law of the land. I accept the law of the land, Senator, yes.
As a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times. Casey is precedent on precedent, which itself is an important factor.
Is Roe a super precedent?
I'm answering a lot of questions about Roe, which I think indicates that Roe doesn't fall in that category. And scholars across the spectrum say that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled. But descriptively, it does mean that it's not a case that everyone has accepted and doesn't call for its overruling.
Huh? Whatever. But it sounds to me that all of them felt that there was precedent set, and that they would honor the precedent. And now it's the complete opposite is happening. Not that I'm surprised. You and I were talking before. Yeah. We're not surprised. We saw this coming. My worry is that this is just the beginning. Next, they'll go after gay marriage and maybe the board, what is it, Brown versus Board of Education? Yeah. They already eroded our voting rights a little bit. Yeah. So I see fascism down the line here. I don't know.
So what exactly will happen in Mississippi if this draft decision is the ultimate decision that comes down, which is Pete Williams was just reporting appears very likely at this point?
Well, I'm standing here right nearby the Women's Health Clinic, the Women's Health Organization. This is, of course, the last abortion clinic in the state of Mississippi. And this is, of course, the clinic that is at the center of the Supreme Court case. And people on the ground here tell me that while there is while women are getting the service that they need today and they're getting abortions today, the question is how long? And that goes straight to the question that you asked me. My understanding is that if Roe is overturned, that this clinic would then quickly be shut down. The other thing that would happen is that women in this area, women both in Mississippi but also in surrounding states, their access to abortion would be highly curtailed, highly restricted. them that have these trigger laws that would go into effect. But then also when you add to that, there's a research institute that studies reproductive rights, and they say up to 26 states would immediately ban or heavily restrict abortion if Roe was overturned. Now, I should be telling you that I'm talking to people here on the ground, the ACLU of Mississippi. They are saying that they're devastated and gutted by this. They say that now the only other legal avenue, if this is overturned, would be to then codify Roe v. Wade, which is, of course, something that you said the president was talking about today. But I also just talked to a volunteer here. They call this the Pink House because it is bright pink. She said that the Pink House, that would not save the Pink House and the women who are depending on it for care. So as in Washington, they're talking about legislation and talking about what could come next. Here on the ground, where the policy meets the people, they're saying that that's just not going to be quick enough, that women here are going to be put in danger because they're going to be forced to have pregnancies and have children that they simply cannot afford or that they simply do not want, that it's not their choice anymore. I should also note that I've been talking to some supporters of this law, some people who are opponents of abortion's rights, and they tell me that not only are they celebrating what is coming from the Supreme Court, they also say that they're turning their gaze towards same-sex marriage. I was just talking to a protester here who has been protesting for decades, that's right, decades outside of this clinic, and I said, well, what are you going to do if this clinic shuts down and if you get what you want? He told me that he's going to turn his attention to now protesting same-sex marriage and hoping that the Supreme Court will then overturn that. So both sides of the political aisle here, as the midterms are approaching, they're both looking at what's on the horizon, and that is squarely same-sex marriage.
Really fascinating look ahead there, Yamiche. And just broadly speaking, it's not just Mississippi, and you touched on this, it's really the entire region there that could be impacted, particularly for those who live in incredibly rural areas, right?
That's right. Talking to the volunteer that has been escorting, she says, defending women that are going into this clinic. She says the women that come here, they're not going to be able to just get in their car and go somewhere else. Because if you look at this state, there's going to be Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, all of the states that are surrounding Mississippi right now, they also would be banning abortion. And I talked to another woman who had tears in her eyes and said that she went up to the volunteers to thank them for their work, because she said as a woman who's an attorney who has the means and resources, that she'll always be able to get an abortion because she'll be able to fly to one of what they're calling the 13 safe states, places that might continue to have abortion, like California or New York. But for a lot of vulnerable women who are poor, women of color, they will be forced to have pregnancies that they cannot afford to terminate, and pregnancies that will then turn into children that they cannot afford. And one other thing, someone told me here that Mississippi is a state that doesn't have a lot of safety nets, that the women who are going to be forced to have these children, they're going to have a really hard time trying to support those children with a state that has not done a lot of the things to extend the sort of benefits that women need in order to get more help and more care to be able to really support their families.
Thank you, Jen. So the DHS secretary is now talking about people on the terrorist watch list crossing the border into the U.S., and he says, we know where those 42 are. Why isn't he saying, we know where those 42 are, they're in jail?
Well, Peter, I would really point you to the Department of Homeland Security to get more follow-up details on his comments. I know he's spoken extensively at a range of hearings and obviously on a range of Sunday shows yesterday, including on Fox, I believe.
So then what is the president's priority? Would it be stopping potential terrorist attacks or letting these migrants come in?
Well, again, I think as we noted just a couple of weeks ago when there was reporting about the number of individuals who are on the watch list being stopped at the border, that was the Border Patrol doing their jobs. That was the system working. And certainly part of the role of the Department of Homeland Security is to keep our country safe, keep the American people safe, and I think that's an indication of Secretary Mayorkas's work to do exactly that.
But so if it takes 19 people to carry out the September 11th attacks, what do you guys think 42 people on a terrorist watch list might be capable of?
Again, Peter, the number one job of the President of the United States, the Vice President, and certainly the Secretary of Homeland Security is to keep the American people safe. And I think a lot of this reporting you're referencing is an indication that they're doing their jobs and doing exactly that.
And then on another topic, does the President know that DHS is putting together this disinformation governance board?
Well, Peter, I think I would note, and I'm not sure if this has been in your reporting yet, but this is a continuation of work that was done under the prior administration, under the Trump administration. to take steps to address disinformation, address the use of disinformation in helping smugglers prompt the movement of more migrants across to the border. I would note that the first example given in the announcement about this was DHS's work to understand how, quote, misinformation spread by human smugglers that prey on vulnerable populations attempting to migrate to the United States. So for anyone who's out there who may be concerned about the increase in migrants to the border, this is the kind of apparatus that's working to address disinformation. And again, continuing the work of the Department of Homeland Security in 2020, something we're currently applauding.
But just in terms of what the president wants out of this, does he want the people on this board to start censoring information that is not helpful to him?
Well, let me be clear on exactly what this board does, or what the work they are doing does. And in their announcement, which is publicly available on the Department of Homeland Security website for anyone to read, it says, quote, the primary mission is to establish best practices to ensure that efforts to understand and respond to disinformation are done in ways that protect privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties, and the right to free speech.
But, okay, there's this woman, Nina Jankowicz, who is going to be in charge of the board. She has said that she thinks the Hunter Biden laptop is Russian disinformation. So should we look forward in the future to her censoring internet traffic about the Hunter Biden laptop?
I think I noted exactly what the objective of the board is, including continuing the work of the prior administration. And the woman you noted has extensive experience and has done extensive work addressing disinformation. She has testified before Congress, testified in Europe. She has worked closely with the Ukrainians and has unique expertise, especially at this moment.
Sitting sheeping on foot patrol. It's misunderstood, better get out of line for you to proclaim.